How about you shut the f*** up? I'm doing YouTube, bitch!
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yep, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, live for you on YouTube today. Thanks for watching. Man, I sure do appreciate it. Also into ACC week here on YouTube, so ACC videos all this week. But this is a call-in show. So when you guys call in tonight, we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. I got a few things I want to talk about at the top of the show, and then we'll open up the phone lines. If you're watching this live, hang on just 2 or 3 minutes. We're gonna give people a chance to join. If you're watching this on the playback, you can fast forward 2 or 3 minutes to the start of the actual show. Yeah, that sounds good too.
No, lady, how about you shut the f*** up? I'm doing YouTube, bitch! He's a Florida man, Lou.
Bowl game, baby! Bowl game!
Good morning. It's Uncle Lou here. Yeah, that's right. It's me, Uncle Lou, and I'm live for you on LouTube today. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it also. And two, it's ACC week, like I mentioned at the top of the show. So ACC videos all this week. We're dedicating one full week to all 5 of the Power 5 conferences, going in alphabetical order. So starting this week with the ACC. Had a couple of videos already. I hope you guys got a chance to watch them. And we'll have a few more for the rest of the week. I'm going to try to stream some more NCAA 14 on Saturday, too, like I did this past week with like a 12 o'clock game, a 3 o'clock game, and a primetime game. But it's Luann's birthday this Saturday, my daughter, and she has a birthday party. So I may not be able to do 3. I'll do what I can on Saturday with that, though. Maybe pre-record some of the games during the week, save myself some time on Saturday. But anyway, that's the plan for the rest of the week. The conference weeks, that'll take up, of course, the next 4 or 5 weeks. That'll take us up to July 12th, which, of course, is going to be the 24-hour stream. I started working on the schedule today for the 24-hour stream. And, man, it's hard to try to fill up 24 hours. But we're going to give it a shot, though. A couple of things I want to mention at the top of the show, and then I'll open up the phone lines here and see what's on you guys' mind today. I was wondering how many of you have heard this story over the last couple of days, but of course, Chad Morris, head coach, Arkansas, has a son in high school, is quarterback prospect, been a 3-star forever. Out of the blue, really, he got bumped to a 4-star. He was raised 400 spots in, I think it was the ESPN recruiting rankings, from like 600 or 700 and something to 200 or 300 and something. And anyway, that's no big deal. People move up and down in the rankings. That's not really the point. He's committed to Arkansas to play for his dad. My question is, does anybody really think that's a good idea? I don't. I think it's a terrible idea. I don't want if Kirby Smart had a high school kid, I don't want him coming to Georgia and playing for Kirby. I don't think it's a good idea. It's like nepotism, right? I don't think it's a good idea for coaches to hire their relatives. I don't think it's a good idea for coaches to recruit their relatives. It just sort of seems like a no-win situation, doesn't it? If he starts, every mistake he makes, it's going to be, he's only playing because he's the coach's kid. Or I don't know. It just seems kind of weird to me. I don't remember hearing anything like this happening before. Obviously, coaches have had kids that have played college football, but I don't remember a Power 5 coach having his own kid on the team. And it does, quarterback, it doesn't get a more high-profile position than that. I don't know. It seems like a recipe for disaster to me in a situation at Arkansas where they need to avoid any disasters they can. And one other thing I wanted to ask too, and this is something that I really didn't talk all that much about it when it happened, and haven't talked that much about it since. But the steroid scandal at Clemson last year, where a couple of their players had to sit out for the Natty game, They appealed, lost. Now they got a couple of players that got to sit out the whole season this year. What do y'all think about that? Well, here's my question. Number one, do you honestly believe it was accidental? That they just took something they didn't know? You know, poor, pitiful me. Do you actually believe that? Keep in mind, these teams have nutritionists that make $100,000 a year. They know everything that goes in these players' bodies. You know, I'm just saying, do you really think it was an accident? Number two, do you really think it was only 3 people doing it? If a cop in your town writes 3 speeding tickets today, does that mean only 3 people in your town were speeding today? Or does it mean only 3 people got caught? And lastly, do you look at Clemson's national title from last year any differently because of that? We never really talked a lot about that on this channel. There's not a whole lot going on right now. Figured I'd throw that out there. What else? That might be about it. 24-hour live stream coming up on July 12th. Beep, beep, beep. All right. Let's open up the phone line. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to call in. Several super chats have come in already. I think I thanked you guys in the comments section during the intro, but let me go ahead and Dondre Crawford, thank you for the super chat, sir. I really appreciate it. He says, I like your show. I appreciate that, sir. I hope you continue to tune in. I appreciate it. The MVT, most valuable troll. Thank you for the super chat and the donation, sir. Hey, Lou, it's been a while. Go Dogs. Yeah, good to see you back. Dogs fan 1196 says same thing. Been a while. Thank you for the super chat and the donation, sir. It's good to see you guys back and able to make a live stream. Missed y'all around here. Slim Shady Canes, of course, coming through with a Florida joke per usual. These never get old. Thank you for the super chat, sir. What pre-law course are all Gator players required to take? Age of consent in all 50 states. I don't know if they're paying very good attention there. Gray Barbie, thank you for the super chat, sir. Appreciate it. Tennessee is going 9-6. Woo. Yeah. I forgot about that call from last week. Thank you for reminding me. Swamp Tiger, thank you for the super chat, sir. Joe Burrow is better than Jake Fromm. Stop acting like he's not. Go Tigers. You're the only one that believes that, sir. Literally the only one. Most LSU fans don't even. Most LSU fans aren't even that stupid. I mean, Joe Burrow is good, and he's probably the best quarterback LSU's had since DeMarcus Russell, but that ain't saying much. You guys have had terrible quarterbacks. Anyway, let's get to the phone lines here. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou and that.
Lou, good morning. It's Peyton.
Hey, what's up, Peyton?
Not much. So, first things first, I do want to ask you, do you plan on purchasing the Phil Steele magazine?
Yeah, it just came out. I think it came out this week or the end of last week. But yeah, I'll get it. I have a couple of them that I bought when I went on that cruise. They're inside. I don't have them out here. I think I have an Athlon and a Lindy's maybe. But yeah, I'll always get the Phil Steele. I'll probably wait a couple of weeks to get it. To be honest, the rest of my family's going out of town for 3 weeks here in a couple of weeks. So I'll have a lot of free time. I'll probably wait till then and pick it up.
Yeah, in my opinion, Phil Steele is by far the best of the preseason magazines. It hits the store shelves next week, but I actually got mine today. If you pre-order it, again, sometime in the last week, you should have received it. And I've already started reading today. I read all the preliminary stuff. I pretty much read every SEC team profile.
Years ago,
I think that's by far the most in-depth one.
Years ago, when I used to just get one magazine, that was always the one I would get. Our annual vacation is usually in August of every year. We go to St. Augustine. That's getting flip-flopped this year because everybody's going to everybody but me is going to Europe this year in July instead of St. Augustine. And anyway, none of that matters. But the point is, back in the day when I used to just buy one magazine a year, I would wait till I went on my summer vacation and I would buy that Phil Steele magazine and I'd read it the whole time I was on vacation. Over the last 5 or 6 years or so, I buy 2 or 3, 4. I pretty much buy them all now and read through them. But a lot of people would consider Phil Steele's to be the best.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much that's usually the only one I get. I used to get the Athlon one too. That one's usually pretty good. But I did see your coach rankings video today, and I think it's funny that you put that out today because what I also read today, and this was just a little insider tidbit I got. It's from the it's from 247. It's it's a site you pay for Ohio State News Bucknuts, and every day they put out what they call the boarding house, and that gives you some inside information from some of their better sources.
Right.
And they and one of the segments in the boarding house today was that if for some reason Ryan Day didn't want the job or they didn't want to hire him, the coach of Ohio State would either be Matt Campbell from Iowa State or Dino Babers
Really?
from Syracuse. I know how.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm
I know
high.
you said,
Yeah, I'm high on
really
Dino.
high on it, and-
I'm high on Dino this offseason, and last offseason, Matt Campbell was sort of the hot name, and I think he still is. But he was sort of a year ahead of Dino in terms of like recognition or players. I think Matt Campbell may have even interviewed at a couple of places last year and ended up signing an extension at Iowa State. I still don't think Matt Campbell will stay at Iowa State in the long term. I just don't see any reason why anyone would that had other options, better options. But yeah, that's interesting that Ohio State was looking. It doesn't surprise me that Ohio State would be looking at Matt Campbell, but that's really the first time I've heard. I mean, I've heard Dino Babers' name mentioned in terms of coaches who might get a look, but it's the first time I've heard his name attached to a particular school. So yeah, that's interesting.
Well, most of the fan base, they after Meyer retired, and they got the job right away, but most of the fans, and a lot of them, liked Day, were happy with it right away. Some of them, it's taken them some time to come around, but I think by now almost everyone's on board. Most of the fans who didn't want him wanted Campbell, but it's interesting because the tidbit said Babers was actually the first choice of Gene Smith, our AD, and Campbell was second. Now that could have changed through interviews, but it's all hypothetical.
Well, everyone's on board. Everybody's on board now because it's June. If October and November rolls around and you're sitting at 8-4, there might be less people on board.
Yeah, it's going to be different. and I think he's gotten off to a good start in our 2020 class. I think that's what helps out. I think most people were on board to begin with, but those who weren't, I think him getting Fields and then, us being in the top 5 right now for 2020 in our recruiting class, I think that's what's gotten a lot of people on board. Anyway, speaking of coaches, did you, I think it's on episode 6 now, but I do have Zach Smith dropped a huge bomb in his podcast Monday.
What did he say
now?
So
yesterday, did you get the chance to listen to that?
No, not yet. What did he say this time?
All right. So, I've told you've asked me in the past, what do you think about Urban Meyer coaching? And I've told you, I think the most likely spot is Notre Dame. I think that's always been, one of his, he said before the 3 jobs he's always wanted before he started his coaching career were Ohio State, Notre Dame, and Michigan. Now, Michigan he would never go to now. He's even said that, but yesterday in Smith's podcast, I know USC is a popular team now, and he said that Zach said he knows a guy who, handles, who works in the postal business, and he said there has been mail exchanged to and from Urban Meyer's address in the University of Southern California. So now I'm starting to flip my mind to USC instead of Notre Dame.
Well, sun rises in the east and sets in the west, and that's never going to change. Urban Meyer is coaching again. There's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, and I know his wife loves the West Coast. Before he was at Florida, he was at Utah, and apparently his wife was in love with the West Coast, and their kids are all grown up, either married or in college. So
Urban Meyer took a job with Fox Sports.
Now.
Urban Meyer took a job with Fox Sports. Where are they located?
Aren't they West Coast too?
Yeah, they're West Coast. That's right. Pac-12 contracts. Colin Cowherd on the radio. They moved. He's out west now. So just reading the tea leaves. Hey, thanks for the call, Peyton. I appreciate it. Thank you for the inside information.
5-star caller.
5-star caller. 706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lou. It's a first-time caller here. I've been watching your show for a couple of years. I'm a huge fan. My name is Justin Tagovailoa. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm your biggest fan, sir.
Stop trolling me!
Yeah, man. It's just such an honor to talk to you, sir.
Yeah, you have one of those familiar voices, where you just sound like someone I might know.
Man.
Has anyone ever told you that before?
No, man, I ain't never heard that before, but I mean, I want to get right to football, man, because that's what this show's about,
Great.
Right?
Let's go.
The first question, it honestly kind of makes me mad sometimes. You're always criticizing my brother about, about him going to an injury tent. I mean, he's injured, I mean, there is some weird stuff about it. Like, we're in Hawaii right now with my brother. My brother's not here right now. He actually has a tent outside the house. He's in that thing 24/7. Doing what? I don't know, man. But I think he's healing up his ankle. He does some rehab in there for his ankle a lot.
Yeah.
And he's out there all day, and sometimes he falls asleep out here in that tent. It looks like
I have pineapple.
I think he's in love with tents, and that's for sure. But I mean, in today's we're talking about the ACC. Tua, my brother. I don't like the ACC. I don't think Clemson should have I don't think they should be recognized as national champions because my brother had an injured ankle during that game. He was going through an injury during the time, and honestly, it's just a disgrace that they would try to put a team like Clemson over my brother. My brother's going to win the Heisman Trophy this year, and there's nothing about it. We've been training every single day towards this. I train with him sometimes. Basically, we have a track. We have a track right here. We're kind of rich now, but we have a track right behind our house here. Basically, it's 100 meters long, and right at the end there's an injury tent, and it's the first one to get to the injury tent, and that's how we train. Let me
ask you a question though. You say you Justin Tabagabaga, right? To his brother.
Yeah.
Great. Now, did your dad beat the ever-loving hell out of you when you were a kid, too, for no reason?
I was a very good kid, so he really didn't beat me. I'm kind of a ghost child. No one really knows about me.
Gotcha.
Because I'm just that little brother, who still has a couple of years to go.
Right.
I'm probably going to be in the 24/7 composite rankings here in a couple of years.
Makes sense.
But time goes on. My father has said that I have a better arm than what Tua had, my brother had. So I think I have a chance to also make a run for the Heisman in a couple of years. But I'm probably going to commit to Tennessee, Kansas, maybe one of those places.
Kansas, really Kansas sure would be an interesting choice, wouldn't it? Kansas. Wow.
Yeah. But Alabama's really. I'm really high on Alabama though, because I know Alabama's going to be winning national titles.
Right.
They're going to win it this year with my brother there. I mean, they really are.
Right.
Him practicing with his injury tent and stuff. Running to the injury tent. It just really gets his endurance up. Really gets his stamina. Really, the training that goes into that is really tough. Gets him real tough. And I'm following that, and so I really think I have a future at Alabama. But it's honestly an honor to talk to you, sir. I'm going to let you go, but I just want to say one more thing. I'll be calling in more often. So,
all right, thank you for the call, you give all the Tabagabagas my best, and y'all be careful out there on Gilligan's Island.
Shitter's full.
706-510-6817 is the number if you want to be on the show. I got another super chat that came in. Thank you again, Slim Shady Canes, for the super chat, the donation. Sir, I really appreciate it. Why does the dean of the University of Florida want students to quit wearing school shirts? He's tired of seeing them on cops. Good morning, you're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, I'm a real big fan, Uncle Lou, of your show.
Thank you.
And I'd like to talk about Clemson.
All right, the Taters.
So obviously, they lost a lot of their D-line, with Christian Wilkins, Cleveland Farrell, or whatever, Dexter Lawrence. And actually, their backup running back behind ETN transferred to somewhere else.
Yeah.
So they're losing a lot of guys. I mean, obviously, they're still going to be a top program, because they're Clemson and Dabo, he's got a good recruiting. But so do you think, they might drop down, in talent this year? Because obviously they still have Trevor Lawrence. But
yeah, I don't think the defensive line this year will be as good as it was last year. And I had a Clemson fan arguing with me today saying, well, look at 3 years ago when we lost Vic Beasley and Grady Jarrett and all those guys to the NFL. We just replaced them. It's no big deal. That's what we do at Clemson. Yeah, you replaced them. And the defensive line that Clemson had in 2018 was as good or better as that defensive line in 2014 or whatever it was that had Beasley and Grady Jarrett and that's true. But what about the time in between? So, I mean, there's just a reason those people were starting and the other ones weren't. Clemson's loaded on the defensive line. But those players playing this year are not going to be as good as the ones last year. Now, they may be as good as the ones last year in 2020 once they get a lot more experience or just get better or whatever, but they're not going to be the same this year. They'll take a step back. They need to improve in their secondary. I mean, they shut Alabama down, but nobody saw that coming. They gave up 1,000 yards passing to South Carolina. Texas A&M lit them up through the air. I mean, Clemson's not unbeatable. They're clearly the best team in college football. They've got the best quarterback, in my opinion, in college football. They've got 2 of the best 10 wide receivers in all of college football with Justin Ross and T. Higgins. They got a good offensive line. Travis Etienne is on everybody's top 5 list in terms of running backs in college football. I mean, they're loaded at every single position. So when when somebody like me says Clemson's defensive line isn't going to be as good as it was last year, that's not, that doesn't mean Clemson's defensive line is going to be terrible. But if they were a 10 out of 10 last year, maybe they're an 8 out of 10 this year, or a 7 or 9 or whatever. But Clemson's still going to be really, really good.
Right.
They'll be double-digit favorites against everybody they play in the regular season probably. And, Clemson's season really at this point, Clemson and Alabama's season doesn't begin at this point until the playoffs. When you've made the playoffs 3, 4, 5 years in a row like Clemson and Bama has, it's really about just surviving the regular season. Nothing they do really matters until the postseason. And, everybody would be shocked, I think, if Clemson didn't wind up in the playoffs again. The ACC is terrible. It's down again this year. Clemson can afford to lose a game in the regular season, finish 11-1, win the ACC. They're still going to get in. They've got enough clout built up over the last 3 or 4 years to where they can, they can absorb a loss without a problem. So I don't see any way Clemson doesn't get it. If I had to put every dime I have on one team to make the college football playoffs this year, it would be the Clemson Tigers. I think they're the most likely to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Yeah. I totally agree. I mean, and they even behind Travis Etienne, they have Lynn J. Dixon, who's actually one of the most underrated players in college football, in my opinion.
Yeah, they've had good recruiting classes, and now they're recruiting at an obscene level now for this 2020 class. But
oh yeah, right.
I mean, Clemson's going to make the playoffs, and and unless they have to play Georgia in the playoffs, they're liable to win it all again. I mean, they're not going to beat Georgia if they face Georgia.
Yeah.
Let's be real. They're 18-42 all time against Georgia. They're not beating. They'd have to beat Georgia 24 times in a row just to tie the series. Give me a break. Georgia would humiliate them if they met the playoffs, but Georgia's got to get there first, so that's a long way to go before that happens.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times when they had that success against Alabama this year, I mean, don't get me wrong, they have talent, they have Trevor Lawrence, but a bunch of teams struggled in the they had Alabama played several good teams. Decent teams, SC West, they play LSU. And don't get me wrong, their spring schedule is really weak. But, they play LSU, Texas A&M, you know, and they didn't really know how to do because they didn't know how to defend those guys like Tua and Jerry Jeudy. But I think Georgia, you know, we shut them down until, you know, the last quarter and a half, and it's really painful for me to remember that, you know. But
yeah, well, Georgia's been a better team than
so
Alabama the last 2 years, clearly. I mean, anyone who's watched the Georgia-Alabama game the last 2 years and says Georgia's not the better team just either hates Georgia, loves Alabama, or doesn't understand football. Those are the only three options. I mean, we played Alabama for 125 minutes over the last 2 years, and they've led us for a total of like 2 of those 125 minutes. We've got out-coached by Bama in the last 2 years, and Jake Fromm has crapped to bed in the fourth quarter. 0 points in the fourth quarter against Alabama, you're not going to beat them, period. You're just not. If you can't score in the fourth quarter against Alabama, then just forget it. You're not going to beat them. Jake Fromm's got to get that figured out. Jake Fromm yet to convert a third down against Alabama in the fourth quarter. But anyway, if you watch the games, it's clear Georgia's better than Alabama. Everyone knows this. It's just a coaching issue.
Right, I think
point.
Georgia's defense definitely really showed. You know, Clemson had to guard that team, and it helped them, you know, win the Natty, in my opinion. But,
yeah, well, I don't think Clemson really needed any. I mean, Clemson had an elite team last year. No one was surprised that Clemson won that
no
game.
doubt. I'm not trying to take
Everybody
away from that,
was surprised that it was 44-16, even Clemson fans. You know, this is a trash talk channel, so it's hard to find somebody that's willing to talk realistically with you. But there aren't any Clemson fans who would have been willing to bet that they were going to beat Alabama by 30 points. There wasn't any. None. Nobody saw that coming. Alabama hasn't lost a game like that since 2007. I mean, you got to go back a long time to find a beatdown of Alabama like that. We'll see how it affects them going forward this year. But Clemson was clearly the best team in college football last year, and they proved it in the playoffs with a blowout of Notre Dame and a blowout of Alabama. I can't take that away from them. Now, whether they were cheating or not with the steroids and all that, that's up for debate.
Right. All right, I want to ask you one more question, then I'll let somebody else get on. But so, do you watch any? Have you been following college baseball and, you know, the College World Series and stuff like that?
I'd rather choke myself to death than watch a baseball game. I'll just be honest.
Yeah, I got you, man. I get 9 innings of, you know, just it gets boring.
I mean, I keep up with some of the, I keep up with some college baseball standings. I follow Georgia. I don't watch Georgia games, but I keep up with what they're doing, sort of. But I'm just not really a baseball guy. That's why I don't talk a whole lot about it.
Hey, did you know that Tony Losey, Aaron Schunk, and Jake Fromm all played on the same high school team in baseball?
I knew Jake Fromm hit a home run in the Little League World Series.
Oh yeah, they play every game.
Yeah.
Every Georgia game.
Yeah.
But,
all right, hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate you watching, and I hope you're able to call back in again sometime. I really appreciate the call. Let's give little man a 5-star.
5-star caller.
Thank you, sir. That was a great call. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, Lewis, George.
George, what's up, buddy?
I don't know, man. We got 60 days. This is so much fun. This is great. I'm so happy.
Me
We're
too,
almost
man.
there. We've almost arrived.
Man, Slim Shady Kane said Florida has 0 chance on August 24th. None. He's been in this comment section non-stop since January, man. What's going to happen on January 24th if Miami beats y'all? You might have to block Slim Shady Kane.
That's actually why I called you. Since you're so honest on all your videos, I want to be honest with you. I'm nervous.
It's a big-time game. I mean, I expect Florida to win. I think they're clearly the better team. But Manny Diaz, I mean, listen, Miami is more talented. Just like Florida was more talented than the product they put on the field in 2017 when y'all won 4 games. Miami is more talented than the product they put on the field last year. So now, Manny Diaz, first-year coach, you don't really know what you're going to get there. But this has potential to be an interesting game. I'm most likely going to pick Florida in this one. But stranger things have happened. I would be worried. If Georgia was playing Miami week 1, I obviously think Georgia's a better team than Miami, just like I think Florida is. I would be worried if I was playing Miami week 1. I mean, they're no slouch. It's not like, a lot of us SEC schools are used to playing these directional nobodies week 1 or something as like a warm-up week. You don't get that when you schedule Miami week 1. I mean, it's going to be a tough game.
I know. The Florida fan base is so happy no matter what happens. Like, dear God, thank God we're not playing Charleston Southern.
Yeah. It is nice to have a big game like that to get it's hard to get excited. I mean, it's week 1, so you're so desperate for football, you're almost willing to take anything you can get, but it really does suck to get up that first Saturday of college football season and have to watch your team play some nobody at noon or something. It is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
So you guys don't have to worry about that. Y'all got a huge matchup there August 24th.
We got a huge matchup, and we're the only game in town.
That's right. Yeah, everybody will be watching,
Yeah.
for sure. Everybody will be watching. Prime time, August 24th, week 0. No other meaningful games that day. It's going to be I can't wait. I'm excited for that game. I cannot wait to watch that game.
Right.
Now, I don't have to be nervous. I don't have to be nervous watching it like you or Slim Shady Canes does. Because really, no matter who loses, I win. It doesn't really matter. So I'm making a video when that game ends, one way or the other. It's just a matter of who's getting who I'm directing it at. That's the only question I have.
You can make a video at the end of every quarter on that game if you want to.
I might make a halftime one. I don't know, but I'll definitely make one when it's over for sure.
Hey, anyway, just objectively speaking, Miami is a bunch of ringers. They're like FSU. They're still like the top fucking something class. And Enos and Diaz are apparently exceptional. They really are motivators, and they got the strength coach just like Florida does. They have an O-line coach that's just world famous, and they're recruiting good. So this ain't no pushover game. I hope we beat them like we beat Michigan, and I'm afraid we really might not. That it might be closer than that.
I mean, as somebody who's not a fan of either team, I'm hoping for a good game one way or the other. I'll tell you this though, if I didn't watch the game and someone called me when it ended and said the final score was 40-10. I would say, well, then Florida won. I don't see any chance Miami blows you out. I could see a scenario if Miami's not ready and Manny Diaz doesn't know what he's doing and their quarterback, they don't get him, they can't get improved play from the quarter. I could see a situation where the game gets away from Miami and Florida wins it by 2 or 3 touchdowns or something like that. But I don't see a scenario where Miami blows you out. Obviously, anything can happen in college football, and I wouldn't be totally shocked if Miami won like a 28-24 type of game or something like that, but I don't see a way Miami would blow you out.
All I know is I was so confident when it all began, and now the closer I get to the game day, I'm getting nervous.
I get the same way. It's hard sometimes for me to do these Friday videos and act like, I do these videos on Friday before the Georgia game, and I act like Georgia could go out and beat the 1985 Bears, It's hard for me to get on there and act like that sometimes because I get nervous all the time. I still get nervous every time we play South Carolina because I can't get it out of my head those Mark Richt years where we went up there and got beat by an inferior team. Same thing with Florida. We were clearly a better team than Florida last year, and I was so nervous about that game. So I understand. I'm the same way.
Right. Hey, listen, your channel was built on Mark Richt losing for no reason.
Yeah.
And on your headstone it would say, "Thank you, Mark Richt."
I do owe him a debt of gratitude. Hey, George, thank you for the call. I appreciate it. George is a dedicated Florida fan and a dedicated YouTube commenter, too. I wake up some mornings and the first 45 minutes of my day is spent reading the previous night's comments from George. He tends to leave a bunch of them in a row. From time to time, but I enjoy you, George. Thank you for the call, sir. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Good morning, Lou. How you doing? It's the General.
Hey, what's up, General? I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great, and I've been reading a book lately. And if you're a Tennessee fan, you'll love this book. If you're a college football fan, you'll really like this book. So if you're a fan of college football, which if you're watching this channel, you are, check out this book. It's really good. It's called Decade of Dysfunction. It's about Tennessee's coaching search in 2017, and as a Tennessee fan who lived through that, just watching it so closely, there's stuff in there that I would have never dreamed of happening. It's so informative.
Yeah, somebody has recommended that book to me before. I can't remember who it was, but somebody has mentioned that book to me before.
You need to read it. It's legendary. It's a great book. And I was reading it, and I'm a big reader. I read all kinds of books, and this has probably been my favorite one so far of the year, just because I love Tennessee so much, and it's so cool to see that this stuff was happening. And, you have no idea as a fan.
Right.
And I'm almost finished with it, and I couldn't believe this. I never thought I would say this in 2017, but I legitimately feel bad for John Curry after knowing some of the crap that was going on with him.
Who wrote that book? Was it a couple of local journalists, or who was it that wrote that book? Do you happen to know?
I can't pronounce his last name, but I'll spell it for you. His name is Mark Nagi. I can't really pronounce that last name. Nagy, I think it's similar to that.
But it's nobody you.
Wrote it.
It's nobody you know, or it's no one. It's not like some Knoxville journalist that's been covering the Vols for years or something like that. I don't recognize that name.
He's a fan. He happens to be, though. He works for a Knoxville news station, but he doesn't cover Tennessee. He covers the traffic.
I got you.
No, he doesn't cover.
Well, that's an important job. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe I'm saying this, but I legitimately feel bad for Curry, because now that I'm reading this book and seeing some of the stuff that was going on, y'all won't believe this, but he went over to North Carolina to talk with Dave Duran. And people don't realize what was going on up there. You had the whole revolt thing. You had the Bernie Sanders type revolution with hundreds of people walking in the streets protesting Shiano. A miniature version of that happened when Tennessee was talking with Dave Duran. Tennessee fans did not want Dave Duran, the North Carolina State head coach, and I really don't blame him. I was one of those fans. And I legitimately believe if that miniature Shiano type revolt wouldn't have happened, we would have a totally different conversation right now, and Dave Duran would be the head coach of UT.
Yeah.
But and I didn't want him at all. I think he's an average coach. I think he's another Butch Jones. But
right.
I'm not going to get off on that. Anyway, what I assume happened is he checks his Twitter and sees hundreds of Tennessee fans from Vol Twitter verbally harassing him, basically, and threatening him. And he decides he doesn't want any part of that hostile situation, which I don't blame him at all. And so he turns it down, and Tennessee has to go elsewhere. Where John Curry gets on the private plane, he fuels the plane up, and without telling anybody, without telling the administration, without telling anybody, he flies an overnight flight from North Carolina to Washington to talk with Mike Leach. He texts Mike Leach. He says, "Hey, are you interested?" Mike Leach wants the job. Like, Mike Leach really wants this job. He would take it in a second of offer. He already told them that. And Curry, without telling anyone, without telling the chancellor, who was Beverly Davenport, without telling anyone in the athletics department, he leaves on that flight, and he claims that on that private plane there's no reception. So you could imagine his astonishment when he finally lands in the morning. He has like 50 missed calls, all sorts of emails that have been unanswered, no text messages responded to. And they think he's actually, and I couldn't believe this, they thought he was suicidal because of what was going on and how bad the situation was.
Jesus.
And at that point, I legitimately felt bad for him, and I was like, Jesus Christ. And this is where you get me to bite a little. He texts Beverly Davenport. He doesn't even call her. He just texts her, "I'm okay in Washington to talk with Coach Leach." No punctuation, no anything. Just types in that 5 words or so. He goes over to a local restaurant and talks to Mike Leach. Mike Leach wants the job, and then his phone starts blowing up with calls from the chancellor, Beverly Davenport. And he talks to her, and she basically says, "Get your ass back to Knoxville right now. We're having a press conference, and your ass is fired." And legitimately, he was just, heartbroken.
Right.
And he did a bad job, but I'm not going to wish someone fired,
right,
or lose their job or anything. And
he did a bad job, but he was in a really difficult situation too.
He was in a terrible situation, horrible situation. And there's rumors that Fulmer was sabotaging him, which, honestly, personally, I believe as a Tennessee fan.
Does the book talk at all about? Does the book talk at all about the Haslams?
Oh my God! Don't get me on the Haslams.
Okay.
It does. It talks about the Haslams all the time. I can go off and talk about it for an hour.
Now, are the Haslams still? Have ties been severed now between Tennessee and the Haslams, or the Haslams still love Tennessee? They still donate, that kind of thing, or are they pissed off?
It's a power struggle right now.
Yeah.
right now, Fulmer is in control, and Fulmer does not like the Hasles, but they're
Right.
still giving money.
Okay.
Okay, so now what the Hasles want is power. They think they know football, but they don't.
Right.
And so they want complete.
I mean, they've been running the
And if you know
Browns. They've been running the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
So if anyone needs any proof that they actually don't know football, you look no further than the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, and in the Tennessee fan base, we call him Jimmy Coaching Shorts because he goes out with coaching shorts and a tie on and out on the field. He just doesn't know football, and it's terrifying to know that this guy was in control of our program with the hirings of Dooley and Butch. But right now, to answer your question, right now at this current moment in time, the only person in control is Philip Fulmer.
Right.
Now, when Philip Fulmer retires in a few years, I suspect the Hasles will be back in control.
Yeah.
And that terrifies me. So that's why I'm really hoping, and this is what Fulmer's trying to do. He's trying to make sure this Pruitt hire, which we don't know if it's going to work out yet. He's already said he wants to stay for like 7 years to make sure that Pruitt doesn't leave and make sure that Tennessee, and then he's going to retire after Tennessee gets going back in the right direction, which sounds like a pretty good idea to me. I mean, let's be honest, Fulmer's not getting any younger.
Right.
But back to what I was saying. He flies back to Knoxville. Davenport basically just tells him, get your ass back to Knoxville, fires him. Fulmer hires AD. Fulmer chooses within the next 4 days a very calm search between Jeremy Pruitt and Mel Tucker. And he chose Pruitt, obviously, which is I think is a pretty good choice. And what Fulmer brings to the table in that is a sense of familiarity with Tennessee fans. I mean, Tennessee fans know this guy.
Yeah.
We like this guy. He's a Tennessee guy. And that's what we needed in the time. In a time of chaos, that's who we needed. And does it bother me knowing that he probably sabotaged a little? No, not at all. Because, I mean, look at some of these terrible candidates that Curry tried to hire. I'm glad he sabotaged.
Right.
Schiano, there's rumors that he was the one that leaked Schiano. Without Fulmer, Schiano's probably our next football coach.
Yeah.
Durant, he leaked Durant. And that's why I'm so grateful for Philip Fulmer being in that administration. Because if it wasn't for that, Tennessee football would be dead. Hasles would be in control. You get it. And so if you're a college football fan, go read that book.
Yeah, and we all know, and Alabama fans especially know, Phil Fulmer doesn't mind leaking things.
Okay, hold on. Whoa. You're going to get me to bite a little on that. It wasn't Philip Fulmer who did that. Fulmer, like in the words of BVD, Fulmer just took the credit for that. It was Spurrier that did that, not Fulmer, by the way.
That wouldn't surprise me either. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
It was Spurrier, but Fulmer got the credit.
I know Alabama fans to this day, would shoot Philip. Some of them would shoot Philip Fulmer on sight. I mean, they're 100% convinced that it was, Philip Fulmer basically picked up the phone and called the NCAA. I mean, you can't convince them otherwise. They believe it.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
The facts don't reason as a Bama fan.
Yeah.
They don't care, and that's why I love having Philip Fulmer in our athletic department right now, just because they hate him so much.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Tennessee's not competing with Alabama right now, so just the fact that we have Fulmer in there to piss him off, that makes me happy.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was nice talking to you. I'm going to let somebody else call in.
All right,
go
General.
Vols, and go read that book if you're.
I will. Yeah. Thanks for the call. That was a good call there. Interesting stuff there. I hope we didn't get too deep in the weeds for some of y'all in the comment section. The Haslams are the owner of the Cleveland Browns, and they're big-time Tennessee donors. And there was some disagreement amongst some fans and some administration-type people, I guess, about how much influence the Haslams did have or should have over the hiring process and things like that. Anyway, it was just a big mess. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Connor. I'm a Texas A&M alum.
Hey, what's up, Connor?
I caught your channel a couple of weeks ago, and I just found it really interesting because getting excited for college football, and
me too.
Obviously excited about Texas A&M's recruiting class. And I got basically two questions for you.
All right.
One, Kirby versus Jimbo. Who do you think's the better coach? And Texas versus Texas A&M. What do you think is the biggest program at this point? I think Texas A&M has surpassed Texas, and it's not even close. And we're recruiting facilities. We make more money than Texas at this point, and our coaching, living in the state, I think they're delusional at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's funny because I know you did your your video on like the top 5 most delusional fan bases in the SEC. Well, I think Texas is at least top 5 nationwide.
Oh yeah, well, Texas is back. I don't know if you've heard, but
yeah, sure.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
Big
I
12,
agree with you. They're pretty delusional. My first real experience with Texas fans on a mass scale, of course, was last December, January, leading up to our game against them in the Sugar Bowl. But as far as your question between Texas and Texas A&M, I hear what you're saying about facilities and everything like that. I know Texas A&M is in the SEC West, and you got to get through Bama and that. But I mean, at some point, facilities are great, recruiting classes are great, but wins are great too, and
yeah,
you gotta. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I know you came into the SEC in 2011, 2012, whatever it was. I know you haven't won the SEC West, and I'm gonna be honest. I can't remember the last time you won the Big 12. So I don't. So it's been a while.
I agree. I'll make one point though. It is the house that Johnny built. That's what people like to say.
Right.
And I completely agree with that. Since Johnny Manziel came to the university, people didn't know us nationwide until that happened. I grew up in Michigan. I didn't hear about Texas A&M until Johnny Manziel.
Right.
I mean, and now we're at least talked about.
Yeah.
So
I'm real high on I'm high on Texas A&M. I think Jimbo Fisher's a really good coach. You asked me who's better between him and Kirby. I think the 3 best coaches in the SEC. I think Saban is clearly number 1. I would probably put Jimbo at number 2 just because I feel like winning a national title is really, really hard to do. And Jimbo, you can say what you want about how he left Florida State, and it's pretty bad. But he won a national title. He made a college football playoff. Not very many people can say that. Not very many at all.
Yeah,
what are there? 3 active coaches that have won a national title, and Jimbo's one of them. So that has to mean something.
Urban's retired now, right?
Yeah. So I would probably put Jimbo ahead of Kirby, especially when you talk about entire body of work. Overall or whatever. And I think Texas A&M's headed in the right direction. I'm close to. I think Alabama's toughest game this year is on the road at Texas A&M. I think if Alabama loses a game in the regular season, it'll be that one. So I mean, I'm high on Texas A&M. If you guys could have found a way to keep Travion Williams, now I'm glad you didn't, because we have to play y'all this year. I loved that guy. I loved watching him play football. So I was glad to see him go pro. Very underrated, but man, so exciting every time he touched the ball. But I mean, y'all have got big, tall, physical receivers. I like your quarterback situation. You got to get better defensively. But you can say that about a whole lot of teams.
Always.
But I mean, Texas A&M's headed in the right direction. Your recruiting class was what, top 3? What was it, 3rd last year?
I think some say 3, some say 4.
Yeah, depending on where you look. But in any case, it was top 5. If you can follow that up with a couple more elite recruiting classes, then you'll be in a situation where Georgia's in now, which is able to to compete with Bama, and that's what you have to do to compete with Bama.
For the title.
Now, anybody can. Well, not anybody, but a team like Ole Miss beat Bama a couple of times. Auburn has beat them. You can beat Bama here or there, but if you want to consistently compete with Bama, and if you're in the SEC, that's what you have to do. You've got to string together a few elite recruiting classes, because Alabama's got people that will never play that are better than most players on other people's teams. I mean, they've had so many top 3 recruiting classes in a row. It's just ridiculous. So. It's great to have one top 3 class, but you really need you need a couple of those, and then you can start competing on a yearly level with Bama. It doesn't mean you'll beat them, but you can compete with them and give yourself a shot. But I think Texas A&M's headed in the right direction.
Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what I thought. 2020 is really going to be our year, not 2019. Because I saw your video on A&M. The schedule is just brutal. I think it's the most difficult.
Real tough. Yeah, on the road at Clemson, on the road at Georgia.
2020 is really easy.
Yeah. I don't know what I haven't looked at your 2020 schedule. Obviously, you don't play Clemson in 2020. You'll have to travel to Bama in 2020.
Give it a chance.
Yeah,
I'll give it a look.
Yeah, I'll look at it.
For the SEC West, it's extremely easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be great. But real quick, so you think that Texas is still in front of A&M as far as a program is concerned?
I think they're pretty close right now. I mean, I could see arguments being made for either one. Obviously, Texas had a better year last year, and, people always want to know, what have you done for me lately? Texas, they won 10-plus games. They don't have divisions in the Big 12, but still they played for the Big 12 title. They made a New Year's Six Bowl and won it. Now, Texas A&M can get to where Texas is without winning the SEC West. You can go 9-3, 10-2, lose the West, and still end up in a New Year's Six bowl game, and that would be a good step forward, really, for Texas A&M. I know you guys want to win the West and make the playoffs and all that, but really you've been kind of hanging around that 7-8 win mark for what seems like forever since you got in the SEC. I know you had a year or two that was a little bit better, but you've really been hanging around at 7 or 8 win mark. If you guys could sort of break through with a 9 or a 10 win regular season, even if you end up second in the West, you're still going to make a New Year's Six bowl game, and that's when I think people will, on a national level, would really start paying more attention to Texas A&M.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works out.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happened to Texas, right? You can say what you want about their win over Georgia. Georgia didn't care, whatever excuses we try to make, but the point is, they played for a Big 12 title. They made a New Year's Six bowl game, and they won it. And now, look, everywhere you look this offseason, Texas fans are delusional, but lots of people are talking about Texas. They're going to be in the top 10 in every preseason poll. So, I can see Texas A&M headed down that path.
It's the history of the program. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. History doesn't win. Yale has 27 national titles.
That's what I'm talking about.
Tennessee has a bunch of SEC titles, too. Meanwhile, they can't beat Vanderbilt in 2019. History's not playing games in 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Well, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate you calling in. I'm glad you found the channel, and we don't have a whole lot of Texas A&M fans around here, so I hope you'll stick around with us through the off season and through the season too. We have a lot of fun, and I look forward to hearing from you. Hearing from you again. Good luck to your Aggies, except for that 1 week in November.
All right,
thanks for the call. Yeah, that's good. I think that's the second Texas A&M caller we've had in the last few weeks. I hope we can get some more over here. Georgia's never played Texas A&M, at least not in the history of BlueTube. So we don't have a lot of Texas A&M fans around here. But hopefully between now and November we can round some up. Good morning, Nat. You're on with Uncle Lou and 2.
Hello. How you doing?
You got about 3 seconds, man. You had all day to think about this. Let's go. Yeah, that's about what I figured. Guy been sitting around fingering his butthole all day, waiting to call into the Uncle Lou show, and then he calls in and acts like he's got a mouthful of marbles. Good morning. You're on with Uncle Lou.
What's up, Uncle Lou? Tech fan back here.
Yeah, what's up, buddy?
I saw this ACC week, so I figured I'd call in because I didn't call you until before the spring game and all that.
Right.
So I figured I would tell you my opinions on all of what I saw. So first things first, that what I saw. One thing I'm going to guarantee, I don't know how many games besides the Tech-Georgia game your highlights or whatever you watched last year, but I will guarantee something right now. We missed God knows how many tackles last year. I guarantee you we will be so much better at tackling. I will promise that.
Better at tackling, all right.
2, the thing you kept saying is the quarterbacks. I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to be perfect in the offense. But from what I saw, I would say they'll be better than expected. I feel like they have adapted to the offense more than people would expect.
So
that's just from my
give us a number. Georgia Tech is winning how many games?
Realistically, there's 2 games I'll guarantee we'll lose. The obvious would be Georgia and Clemson. The other 10 are you can say we could win 10, but we're not. I'm going to say two things real quick. The one game every Tech fan, every ACC fan should mark, I will say this, is the Tech versus Miami game. I would say right now, just me either bragging or being delusional, I don't know. I would say the winner of that Tech-Miami game will win the Coastal this year.
So,
but I have Tech winning 8 games, like you said, in the best case scenario.
8 games. All right, let's see. At Clemson, that's a loss. South Florida, that's 50-50. The Citadel, that's a win.
Exactly.
At Temple, you should win there. They lost their coach. North Carolina, Mac Brown. You really should win that game. It's at home for you. You really should win. At Duke, you should win. They lost their quarterback. At Miami, I would pick Miami in that one. Then you got a bye week.
I'm saying.
Pitt, I'll give you 50-50 on Pitt. You get them at home. At Virginia, I think Virginia wins. Virginia Tech, 50-50. NC State, 50-50. Georgia, you lose. I think if you win 8-4, it'd be a minor miracle. You might want to nominate Jeff Collins for sainthood if that happens. I'm just being honest. I think Clemson. I think Clemson, Miami, Virginia, Georgia. I think those 4 games are guaranteed losses. No one would be shocked if you lost to South Florida. That would be 5. Pitt, 6. NC State. I mean, it could be. Hell, you could be 3-9. I'm just being honest. I don't expect that to happen, but if you win 8-4, somebody needs to win an award.
God
Yeah.
Almighty,
If Tech goes 8-4,
miracle by God Himself happens, we could win 10 games. If some miracle happens.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you see how many 50-50 games there are.
Yeah, no doubt. Tennessee could beat Vandy and Mizzou. I'm just kidding. No, they can't.
I know they can. But one last thing before I let you go here. Do you think there is any God miracle we could come and beat Clemson in the first half? Not the game.
No.
You don't think so?
No. You got to no. You playing them there at night. If anything, the first half's going to be worse than the second half. My opinion right now, they'll be up 30 points at halftime, and they'll end up winning a game by 24.
I mean, that's about what everybody's expecting.
And you can't. Georgia Tech fans can't judge anything on that. You can't walk away from that game going, "Oh my God, what did we do? Jeff Collins is an idiot." No, Clemson's going to beat a lot of teams by 30 points this year. So that's no indication of where you're at as a program. You got to almost forget about that game right away. I mean, this is big time college football. Georgia Tech is preparing to win that game. I get that. But I'm talking as a fan perspective, you almost have to forget about that game the minute it ends.
Yeah, I plan on going to it, but I mean, I feel like we should just go into that game and just play like we have nothing to lose. Because if we lose, we're expected to. If we win, which we probably won't, but we should just play the game like we have nothing to lose.
That's a great. I mean, that will be the plan. I'm pretty sure. Because, like you said, no one expects y'all to even compete in that game, really, much less win. But hey, good luck to you. Nothing would make me happier than for you to go out and stomp the taters. It would be good for business here on YouTube if you were able to do that week 1. So good luck to you, except for the last week of the year when we have to beat you like the little brother that you are. But thank you for the call also, in addition to that as well. And have fun at Comic-Con this weekend or whatever it is. No, I'm just kidding. All right, that's it for the phone calls. I'll stick around for a little bit and chat with you guys in the comment section. Let's see. I see a couple more super chats here that came in. Dondre Crawford says, "Let me call in." Anyone can call in, sir. We do this show every Tuesday and Thursday night from 10 to about 11. Sometimes it goes a little longer. So you just call the number on the screen next time. See if you can get through. Once it gets a little bit closer to the season, or definitely when the season starts, we're going to add some additional shows. I do a Saturday morning show every Saturday during the season where I turn College Game Day on out here, and we sit around and talk about the day's games and all that, and take some phone calls in, and we'll probably add even one more just regular call-in show too. Anyway, none of that matters for the purposes of this video. Yeah, Comic Dude, thank you for the super chat and the donation, sir. Backbone Bowl, Auburn versus Texas preview on my channel tomorrow at 1 p.m. featuring SEC football too. Be there or be square. Yeah, you guys subscribe to Comic Dude if you're not already. He would really appreciate it. Don't forget ACC week here on YouTube. So ACC videos all this week. Had a couple come out already. I have a few more the rest of the week. Saturday, I'm going to try to stream some more NCAA 14 for you guys with the updated 2019 rosters. If I stream any games on Saturday, they'll be ACC games. That's the way we're going to do it. We'll have ACC week. On Saturday, I'll stream ACC games. Next week is what? Big Ten. Talk about the Big Ten all week. On Saturday, I'll stream Big Ten games. You guys get the idea. 24-hour live stream coming up on July 12th. Hope you guys will join us for that. For the entire 24 hours. I need all of you here. It's mandatory. There's going to be a sign-in sheet. Attendance will be taken hourly. Need you all here for the entire 24 hours. So yeah, that's what that is. Anyway, what am I doing? I don't know. I appreciate you guys watching though. Like I said, and also in addition to that as well. And I'll hang out with you guys in the comment section for a little bit. Now.
Forget 100% committed. I'm 1000% committed. I do not care. I'm riding high on this sorry, sometimes sorry, college football team.
Angels on the sideline, puzzled and amused. Why did Father give these humans free will? Now they're all confused. Don't these talking monkeys know that Eden has enough to go around? Angels on the sideline, baffled and confused. From a blessed borrowed reason, this is what they choose. This is what they choose. Monkey killing, monkey killing, monkey. All pieces of the ground. Silly monkey, give him something for your blade, and well, there's one about to divide it right in two. Difficult to see you in this light. Please forgive this selfish question. But what am I to say to all these ghouls tonight? She never told a lie. Well, might have told a lie, but never lived one. Didn't have a life, didn't have a life, but surely saved one. See, I'm alright now. It's time for me to let you go. Listen to the tales and romanticize how we follow the path of the hero. Boast about the day when the rivers all run, how we rise to the height of our halo. Listen to the tales as we all rationalize our way into the arms of the Savior, fading on trials and the tribulations. None of us have actually been there, not like you. Ignorant siblings in the congregation gather around spewing sympathy. Spare me. None of them can hold a candle up to you. Blinded by choice, these hypocrites won't see. But enough about the collective Judas who could deny you were the one who illuminated your little piece of the divine. This little light of mine, a gift you passed on to me. I'm gonna let it shine to guide you safely on your way. Your way on. closing the gate saying, I come home now. Catch me stirring the sun in the fall. Tell them that pillar of faith has ascended. It's time now, my time now. Give me my
Stop treating Uncle Lou!